It looked like somebody was bent over and had their head in the window of the deer blind. It either heard me or smelt me, and he pulled his head out of the tent and stood straight up, and that shocked me. They don't make people that big.
The way it moved, almost as if it was gliding across the beach. I've never seen anything move like that in my life. They were screaming at each other in gibberish. It sounded like a language, and they were chuntering away back and forwards, back and forwards, back and forwards. I know what a bear looks like, and there is no way on this planet that what I saw were bears.
What are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better... Sheriff, Gio!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
Hi, I'm James Wafer from Liverpool, UK, and I'm listening to real-life diabolical accounts on Sasquatch Chronicles.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Got a great show planned for you. Tonight we're going to be chatting with the Squatch Watchers, and I've been watching these guys on YouTube, and I'll include a link for everyone. But if you get a chance, go check out their YouTube channel, Squatch Watchers. And I was watching their latest video. It's entitled "A Sasquatch Tracks Us and Throws Rocks in a River." I posted it up on social media, and I posed a question: what are these guys going to do if they actually catch one and it's pissed? You know, what's kind of the plan? Taylor from the Squatch Watchers contacted me and said, hey, we'd love to come on and talk about what we do. So I have David, Taylor, and Tate tonight. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. And if you get a chance, check out sasquatchchronicles.com. You can become a member and get additional shows. Let's jump into it tonight. I want to welcome Taylor, Tate, and David from the Squatch Watchers to the show. And Taylor, I guess we'll kind of start off with you. Before we get into this property and some of the things that have happened to you guys, how long have you been searching for the creature?
Gosh, I guess going on 12 years now. I want to keep saying 10, but 10 was 2 years ago. I remember saying that. So yeah, we're hard at it for 12 years as a group.
I gotcha. And was it a sighting? Is that what kind of got you involved in looking for this creature?
So whenever I was a kid, that's what started me off. My uncle, my mom would tell me stories about Bigfoot, and I was like, oh, okay. And then this group of guys brought me out on a hunt one night, and heard my first scream, and that's whenever I met David, and that's what kind of got me hooked 12 years ago. And I'll let David get more into that because he was there actually before me. He was one of the founders of the Squatch Watchers.
And I know you guys are in North Carolina. David, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here, man.
Man, great to be here. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure having you on. And before we get into what's going on this property and kind of your guys' experiences, I'll pose kind of the same question to you, David. Was it a sighting that got you into looking for this creature?
No, I'm sorry, but it was Boggy Creek, the Fouke monster. That movie was on, several times when I was a kid. And, my mom would they would keep me scared to death that there was a woolly booger or some kind of monster out in the woods. And of course that was just to keep us close at hand and we wouldn't roam too far. So, I always grew up thinking that there was something there, but obviously as you get older, you're like, this is all a bunch of hooey. And like Taylor said, we didn't know each other at the time, but a mutual friend of ours invited us to go on a hunt because there had been a sighting on some private property. And I called Bunk real quick, and next thing you know, we're on a hunt, and we're out there for several hours, and we really ain't getting much of nothing. We're ending the night down, and I asked the guys, could I give a call? And we did. They let me make a call. And at the end of that call, I'm telling you, whatever answered back just rocked my entire world, because I've never heard anything scream like that, yell like that. And I mean, from day one, I was hooked. And quite literally, for the last 12 years, we had been in the woods literally almost every weekend.
And I'm curious about yourself, Tate. Thank you so much for being on the show. Same question. Was it a sighting that got you into looking for this creature?
If I'm being honest, Taylor got me into it. I'll go back like him. As a kid, I was always a Loch Ness Monster fan. I always thought that was cool. And then I always thought paranormal ghost stuff was interesting. But, Bigfoot, I didn't really think about much until, Harry and the Hendersons. That's the only thing I really thought about when it came to Bigfoot, other than when I got involved with Taylor and David. But it was right after high school. Taylor kept calling me after every Friday night. They go on these hunts and say, man, you got to come over here. This place, there's something here. We don't know what it is. We think it's Bigfoot, but we're not sure. He kept always telling about these crazy stories. And I always wanted to go, but I was kind of not really skeptic. I was kind of just nervous at what to expect. Like, I didn't want to go in there and just, some huge 800-pound, 8-foot tall creature come and just grab me and take me away or something, So I finally mustered up the courage to go one night, and that's when I had my first rock throwing experience, and the rest is history. I've been Bigfoot hunting ever since, and I believe it's real.
Thanks, Tate. I appreciate it, man. And you guys know, I know it's a very mundane question to ask in the beginning, and I hate that question. But, when you're interviewing three people, it's kind of cool to get a little bit of a background on them. And I appreciate all you guys going through that. Let me ask you, I know David and Taylor have had sightings since you guys have been on this property. David, if you would kind of start for me, tell me about this sighting that you had. Kind of what were you doing, and walk us into what happened.
There was actually three of us with us that night, and there was another gentleman who no longer comes with us. Life events happen, things change, people can't always come. So, but the three of us were there, and it was, you have so much experience on this property, and we didn't really know what to make of it. But there came a point when the activity got so wild that they decided it was time for us to call the property owner. So, the property owner comes down, and, they're all in the truck, and, they're everybody's pretty scared, to be honest. Now me, I'm a little different. I'm not going to never say I'm not scared, but I never let it stand in my way. So everybody's got my flashlights because they're not going to stay over there in the dark, so I take off with nothing but a really crappy handheld night vision camera. And back in those days, we wasn't picking up much of nothing. So I walk across this little creek, and you've got a very distinct feeling that you are not alone. And everybody's had that feeling where you think you're being watched. And so for everybody out there, if you're filming at night and you're holding that camera and you're trying to watch what's going on, I became camera blind. So there just came a point where I knew something was in front of me, but I couldn't make out what it was. And so I put the camera down where I could focus. And when I did, maybe 40 to 80 feet in front of me, there was this huge mast standing on the side of our trail. And like Taylor said, we have been on this property so much and so often. I mean, we know how everything should look. We're there after every storm. If something's different, we notice it. And I'm thinking, that tree is much too wide. It shouldn't be that wide. And so I'm sitting there trying to focus, and all of a sudden, I see this thing peek out from around this little, it ain't really the tree. It's the creature itself. But it moves its head where it can see around a tree, and it peeks out and looks at me. And I go, I just said, oh, hell. And I went back and got my flashlights and went right back up to the area because I got to see what this thing is. So I snatched my flashlight from, I don't know if it was from Bronson or Taylor at the time, but nonetheless, we go back up. We found the footprint where it stepped up on the bank, and we saw all the limbs that were 8.5, 9 feet off of the ground that this thing, it didn't snap them and break them. It just twisted them up like they were pipe cleaners out of the way. So it had a clear view of everything we were doing. It could see everybody all the way down to the truck. And so when I had my sighting, not only did I know I seen it, we found physical evidence something had been there. And we found physical evidence at the tree that we knew that it had modified that tree for visual sight.
Yeah, that's really cool that you guys are getting evidence. And I've been watching your videos. I know there's a lot of tracks you guys have casted, sounds you guys have recorded. And I really do love your enthusiasm for the topic. After being in this for 10 years, and you deal with the community and trolls and just a lot of scumbags, to be honest with you. Over time, you start to fall out of love with the subject, but and never lose your guys' sincere love and thrill of looking for this creature. I just love that when I watch your videos. Tell me about this property that you guys are currently on and looking into. What was the conversation with the property owner? Kind of how did you guys come about getting on this property and spending most of your time there?
They started out, because this thing is a huge property. They take golf carts from one side of the property to the other, and they were taking it one night, and they were on their way to one side of the property, and this thing lets out a big yell beside of them, scares them all to death, and that's pretty much how it all got started on this property, right, to give us like, hey, there's something out here.
And again, I don't want to give too much away, but this property has been in the family for like 230 years. And the stories of things happening on this property go all the way back to their great grandparents, where there have been, physical sightings. And back then they called it the woolly booger. And so there's always been a history of activity on this property, and not just with Bigfoot, but also with paranormal. There have been a lot of ghost sightings on the property. So we have access to nearly 300 acres of prime Sasquatch property that also has a very paranormal or spiritual connection to it, if you will. So that's why we're kind of learning how to do a little bit of everything and figure our hunting skills out, especially since we're dipping our toe in the paranormal world.
I gotcha. Yeah, long time to have a piece of property in the family, So this property is over 200 years old, and the homeowner's having issues. He's seen the creature, he's heard them. What's the conversation like? I mean, what is he hoping that you guys will accomplish? Does he want you guys to get rid of them?
We're more of in the proving ground than we are there. This thing is not going anywhere. Okay. And to be totally honest, there's not just one creature. Where we're at, there is a community. We have on so many hunts where we've been surrounded on all four sides by multiple Sasquatch, throwing, yelling, screaming, shaking trees, you name it, we have experienced it. We've had these things push trees over on us. We have had rocks thrown at us that were big as dishpans, okay? If they wanted to hurt us, they already would have. They let us know when we get too close to areas we're not supposed to be in. We have stumbled across what we thought was a birthing site at one point, and that was some of the most aggressive behavior we ever encountered. But they wanted us to know with great clarity, we don't want you over here. Now, most of the time when we're hunting, we get the distinct feeling that we're their entertainment, and they want to keep us around as long as they can. Henceforth, when our last Friday night hunt, we were wore out. Every time we'd go to lead, they'd follow us out and start more activity, and they'd draw us back in.
Yeah, and are you referring to kind of the most recent video you guys posted? Sasquatch tracks us and throws a rock in the river?
Yeah, and I'll let Tate get into that because he's the one in the middle of editing this. We had to do it in two parts, so that's kind of the part one. So here's Tate. I'll let him get. we actually branched off. Like there's a big river that splits the primary property where the owner is that we've been hunting for years, and now there's another side that we just got permission to. And I gotta be honest with you, the night started off pretty dull, and as we got up through the trails along the river, we got to one point and we just started hearing a loud boom, 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 and I know for a fact we got audio of this, and it just sounded like boulders being just smashed together, making just a loud cannon noise. I mean, it happened. We probably heard at least 4 or 5 of them the whole time we was there, and then that's what led up to the rocks in the river. We went further down to the other side, and when we got to the river, we stand there, and as you can see in that first clip of the last video, we just hear a loud splash, and we just start chasing towards it. And we was trying to. I know it's not necessarily the right thing to do, because some people have different outlooks on how you go about investigating these creatures, but that's what we do. We just run towards everything when we hear it, because we may get lucky one day and catch it. But yeah, we just went over there and rock hit the river. We started looking, flashing lights around. That we had the IR night vision light camera on. We was looking, and then next thing you know, down the river a few more feet or maybe half a mile from us, boom, rock hits the water again. We go that way, and it's almost like every way we chase towards the sound, it would be the opposite way back the next time. So something was over there, either multiple or a single figure, and they were just scaling that riverbank, which is just basically a briar thicket on the side of the river, and it's just a cliff. So there's no way a human could be over there punking us. And I mean, it's just one after the other in just different spots. Wherever we weren't at is where the rock splash would be. We go to that, rock splash the other way, and it just that's what David was iterating to. We just were run to death that night because we was trying to catch this creature on camera, and it was there. I mean, we at one point at the end of the video, if people last that long through it, there's a clip of me with the camera, and me and Dave's down the riverbank, and Taylor's above us trying to get a vantage point. And I walk over, we hear one splash, and then I get closer, another splash right in front of us, and you can literally hear the water droplets hitting the leaves and the tree branches right in front of me on camera.
Yeah, the other thing too is I watch your videos. You guys are a bunch of crazy men, because you guys do run towards different sounds and everything like that. Has anyone ever come across one face to face?
No, not to the sense it's been face to face where we actually reach out and grab it. It's just been like David's encounter, and then I had one with the naked eye that was at dusk, and it was kind of far off. I just seen the shoulder part of it move and just dip off down to this big valley area in the woods. And funny story about that, it's kind of like David's sighting. When I had my sighting the first time, it was right at dusk, and I just seen this like dark looking figure with a little bit like grayish white on it, and I just seen like kind of the top torso and a muscular shoulder, and it just kind of like it rolled like it was moving downwards, and then it just disappeared down in this thicket. And I said, guys, I think I just saw a Bigfoot. And then lo and behold, this predated video now, but we went back and investigated later on in the daytime, and that whole valley area right there where I had my sighting and it disappeared down to, we call it the Bigfoot Underground. It was basically a tunnel system of just engineered tree canopies and all kinds of just brush thicket, just engineered through there, making a crawling trail. Like if you look down in it, there's just a whole big crawling tunnel in it, which we think that's where they've been messing with most of the time on that side of the property by, throwing rocks at us or hollering, and they just go down that and just go through the tunnel system and then just leave that area.
Yeah, it definitely appears to be an active property for sure. David, you founded this group, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was just a period of time where everybody got busy, and it just seemed to be kind of a fad. And for me, it became more of I mean, I don't know. I'm the type of person I have to know. Taylor would come, with a little bit here and there, and then, we had some other guys that would come every now and again. But a lot of times I just go hunt by myself, and now that's an experience. But then after just a brief lull, Taylor, we reconnect and we're like, hey, we really, first off, our friendship meant a lot. And so we got very close. And so we were just going all the time. And, when Tate came in, we had another gentleman with us. And again, life gets in the way of things. And we pray because, health issues really more than anything keep him off of the trails with us. But, it's basically boiled down to the three of us. And whether I founded it or not is really irrelevant, because without these two guys here, it would never be the same for me, because we are the North Carolina Squatch Watchers as a whole. Without one, the other two, you just wouldn't be the same. I mean, if it's not us, I mean, it just wouldn't be the same. We just all bring something separate and individual to the team, and we seem to have a connection with this property and the inhabitants there. And when we're all there together as a group, we tend to have tremendous activity.
Yeah, it's really cool of you to say, and I respect that a lot. In this field of overinflated egos, a lot of damaged people, petty arguments. It's cool to hear you say that very much, David. That you guys are buds and you guys are out there looking for it, and not one ego isn't stepping on the other. And like I said in your videos, you guys are crazy, man. You guys go running towards growls or anything like that. Can I ask you, Taylor, what is kind of the SOP, the standard operating procedure for the Squatch Watchers? Let's say you come across a creature and it's not running, it's pissed. What's kind of your guys' plan B? What's kind of what do you guys do then?
So this kind of goes, so you posted our video the other day, and I saw some people like, what if these guys really run up on this thing? Or why do these guys chase these things? Or, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I sent you a message. Like, hey man, we'd love to get on there and tell why we do this and what we would do if we do come face to face. And this is how I wanted to compare this. It's like, if you go to our page and you type in Squatch Watchers and you go to our page, what would you think that we do if you just go to our page?
Yeah, I would think you guys look for Bigfoot.
We look for Bigfoot. Okay, so we're here to look for Bigfoot. Just like Michael Jordan was to go out on the basketball court and shoot basketball. That's like so if we're out there filming and we see a Bigfoot, we hear Bigfoot activity, we go toward it because that's what we do. That's like telling Jordan not to shoot on the court. That's like telling Elvis not to go shake his leg for the women. Or that's like telling Dolly Parton not to go sing Jolie on tour. They're going to do this, and that's what they're going to do. And people go at us, and they're always like, what are y'all going to do if y'all see it face to face? We're going to film it, and we're going to be done most likely, and because that's what we're set out to do. And we're here to do this, and we want to film it, and I'm going to film it, and I'm going to run.
Yeah, make sure you have good running shoes, man. I'm telling you though, when you run into one of these things and you're in their presence, I promise you'll change your opinion on this. And you'll think, and hopefully you'll think back to this conversation. You know what I mean?
Well, see, we've been in the most terrifying moments of our life, and it's on video. Like those rocks, the other night, the camera doesn't show those rocks, doesn't give the rocks justice. Like these rocks were bashing in the water, and like we go toward. I kind of stay back. I ain't gonna lie to you because I don't want to be the first of what David's about to tell you. I'm the scared one in the group. I'll be able to tell you that, but we've been around it for 10 years, man, and we want to see it. I know what you're saying. I mean, this is going to be like, but I don't get starstruck. I've never been a person to get starstruck, but yeah, I mean, I still get scared to death. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but yeah, I want to hear your story one day too. But yeah, I'll let David get to his part.
Yeah, and I'm not giving you a hard time by any means, Taylor. Let me ask you, David, kind of the same question. So you're out there, you guys hear something, you go running towards it, and you end up running into one of these creatures. Not only does it not run, but it's pissed off. What's kind of the SOP? What's kind of your plan B, your standard operating procedure in that situation?
For the most part, we have yet to encounter one that I would say that was aggressive. Let's say protective. We have cast juvenile Bigfoot prints on this property, and when I say juvenile, I'm talking maybe not quite infant, but toddler stage. Okay, there's no run in me, and I know what everybody says. It'll be different if you ever. It may be. If I faint, it's going to have to come pick me up and carry me off. Because at the end of the day, I believe that I'm going to be able to touch one. And I think it's going to allow me to do it. Okay.
Yeah, forgive me for jumping in, David. Based on what? I mean, how do you come to that conclusion?
So the Cherokee legends say that the Cherokee sat and communed with Bigfoot. So that doesn't mean that they just, had an understanding. It meant that they sat together and they communicated one with the other, and they could understand. We have been on this property for so long that they have said our names. They have mimicked our speech patterns. They have told us, "Hey," to get our attention. They whistle. They imitate all kinds of different varying animals. So, whatever this creature is, it's not as dumb as everybody may think it is. There's some intelligence here. The dolphin is still an animal, but the dolphin is one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet. So I believe that, like anything, any animal, if you're on a horse and you're scared, you're coming off of that horse. That horse is going to throw you. If you don't have the sense of courage or the understanding to be on a horse, you shouldn't ride. So when I'm on a horse, I'm very confident. I don't want to get thrown. It's the same thing as with a Bigfoot. They can sense our intentions. I do not believe, as long as we've been hunting that property, the relationship we have built with them has been one of trust. We've never done anything wrong. We don't even leave trash on the property when we camp or do our stuff. Everything that goes in comes back out with us. I believe these creatures know 100% that we are only curious and we want to meet them. Other than that, I'm not afraid of them at all. Now, since I've seen them and know that they're real, it makes it a little more difficult to go on a hunt by myself, but I still do it. I mean, there's just no run in me. I don't know how to tell anybody. I have to know.
Yeah, I mean, I would come up with a real plan B. That's my opinion, though. Who cares what I think? Are you guys armed when you guys go out there?
No. There's a plan B. These two leave me behind, when they get to the car, they call for help. I mean,
I gotta get on video first, though. I mean, I don't. To be honest, I don't know that I've ever contemplated the plan B. I don't go in armed because I don't feel the necessity. The only thing I'm worried about running up onto the woods is another man. That's my greatest fear in life, is to get punked by somebody. And then, of course, if we ever do get punked, which I don't believe we have to this point, we've run up on people camping and four-wheeling that have messed with us before. We clearly know what that is. Nobody ever sees that. It's trash. Hey, guys, they were having fun. We had fun with them. Let it go. But if someone were to intentionally punk us, that's a whole different story. They probably don't want to ever let us know. Would not end well. I hesitate to tell anybody, because typically most of the time we're unarmed. But at the end of the day, we're not stupid. We are prepared in case we come upon a bear, or the worst case scenario for me would be a mountain lion. That is the only one thing I'm worried about in the woods, is a mountain lion outside of a man. Because you'll never know they're there before it's too late. And for anybody that doesn't think there's mountain lions in North Carolina, shame on you. The game wardens are tracking a whole family of them. They are here and they really exist. But there's not truly a plan B. But we're like the Rangers, no man left behind. Yeah.
I hear ya. What about you, Tate? What are your thoughts? You run up on one and it's not running away, and it's pissed off that you're there. What's kind of your plan?
I think everybody's heard this analogy before, like the dog chasing the car. We chase the car, but if we ever catch it, we don't know what the heck we're going to do with it. I mean, that's really, at the end of the day, there is no plan B. The only plan B is David's going to be stupid enough to try to touch it, and me and Taylor's going to get on camera, and then after that, we don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and you guys aren't on trial here. I mean, I don't want you guys to feel. I'm just asking questions, and let me ask you, Tate. Let's say you guys get a great video. Do you think that'll be enough as far as proving it?
No, it's not going to be good enough, because there's always going to be something wrong with the video, and there's always going to be doubt. Anybody would know if that took the video, they would know. But at the same time, like, you're going to have people critique it.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, Tate. And I don't want you guys to think I'm breaking your balls by any means. I'm really not.
No. We like these questions because you're being real and you're asking what people are wanting to hear, and it doesn't ever offend us. Trust me, because we've been made fun of, poked at, and but even if yeah, if people want hair, but even if you send in hair, who are you really going to send it to that's going to know? And for us, we're out, and the hair would be the number one thing. But I mean, people get prints all the time, but people even say they're fake. The footage is the number one thing that we're after. And we're all honestly after, like, yeah, we do our YouTube page. We love our YouTube fans. We love anyone to ever watch our YouTube. But we're bringing everyone along for the journey of our journey. This is our journey. And once we finally get this thing on footage, we don't know if we'll ever do this again because we proved it to ourselves. And at the end of the day, as long as us three know it's real, we don't have to prove it to anyone ever again. And that's my take on it.
This is David. I just had a wild thought that popped into my head. So everyone wants to know where do they go? Where do they live? And there's all sorts of theories about Sasquatch, okay? Where did they come from? Biblically, there's a trail, okay? There's all kinds of things that you could explain where Sasquatch come from. But I'm going to tell y'all right now, this is plan B. Think about this. These guys have never heard this before. What if we walk up and we see a full-blown Sasquatch, maybe not just one, but a whole community, and they allow us to see them? No, the veil is gone. There they are. What happens if it's like a Field of Dream Moments where they invite one of us to go? I'm going. I'm going.
Man raised by Bigfoot?
I'm going. What if they were to invite you to show you, to let you have a glimpse of what it's really about, I would give my eye teeth to know. I'm just telling you, what if, I'm your guy. Take me.
Yeah, I think that's a big what if. You had mentioned some paranormal things that go on the property. What kind of things are you guys experiencing out there?
Okay, so and here again, I don't want to mention names, and this is because this is what we talked about earlier, because I want to be very respectful. The family that owns this property, they are, while we're maybe no blood relation, again, they are my family, and they are some of the best people I've ever encountered. One of the family members she was born with a veil over her face. And the wives' tale is, they had to remove the skin from her face to, because she couldn't breathe as a child, during birth. The wives' tale is that they have the gift of sight beyond, which means she sees spirits that have been passed. She has encountered multiple spirits within the property and in some of the older homesteads that are on there. They have the original family house that was built nearly 230 years ago is still there. It's not livable. It has been reinforced, and it'll never fall down. And it's like a treasure for them. And then the house everyone grew up in, that's a more modern home, which is still now, 60, 70 years old. The house is named a specific name after a family member, but they believe that she still haunts that house, and there's been sightings there by the family and by guests. And they actually believe on that same property, there are multiple tales that Sasquatch has actually visited the homes at night while they were asleep. And in one case, it actually entered the home, and they didn't know it until the next morning when they saw everything disheveled, and everybody talked about, well, that wasn't me. I didn't get up. And then they could see the prints and stuff, and, what made this mess, and those type things. Now, for us personally, there are other sites on the property where their homesteads have long since, they've rotted away, and there's only foundations that are left. Recently, because of this, we had a flood last year that, was incredible. And it has uncovered some new evidence that maybe this either is some type of Indian burial site or something else. We're not sure. We're not going to disturb it to find out one way or the other. That we think that would just be disrespectful and sacrilegious, and don't want to do it. But it lends credence to some of the folks who follow us and we have befriended in the paranormal community, who have warned us that there are some very angry Native American spirits that reside on the property. And there are times that they're the ones that have messed with us when I personally I have some issues sometimes on the property, physically, and I've been told via them that it's the spirits that are causing my issues because they want my attention.
There's video.
Yeah, we've got video of that. We've used a spirit box one time on the property, and then we were asked very politely not to ever do that again by the property owner. So out of respect, we don't, because I literally passed out, fainted from what was being said on the spirit box. And I've never quite got over that.
So the week prior to that, Tate and I went out with the spirit box, and this was a week prior to that, and we've had two of our friends that played the NFL. They came down a couple months before that, and we were asking questions about that hunt on the spirit box. We were like, what happened? And it said rocks. Okay, so we had rocks thrown at us. We said, what's your name? It said Tua. Okay, we never heard the name Tua before. I don't know if that's Native American or not. We was like, did you throw the rocks? And it was saying liar, liar. Okay, we get through that. This is all on video, Tate and I. And then I'm going to pass the phone to Tate and let him tell you whose name it said. And then the following week, we'll give you what it said. Here you go, Tate. Whose name is it?
So after it said all that, it said daughter. And we was like, whose daughter? And it said Dave. And then we was like, okay. So we called David and said, we got to get you here next week because he was busy doing something. I don't remember what he was doing. I've slept since then. And so we get David back the next week, and David was in the woods. I had the camera on David, and I can still remember seeing this like live. He's asking the spirit box, what does he want? What does it want with him? And it said daughter, and he said, what's my daughter's name? And it said Kaylin. And he said, what? And it said Kaylin again. And he just looked at the camera and me, and just his eyes rolled back in his head and passed out. And it said his daughter's name twice, and it basically got me and Taylor to get him there through the spirit box to tell David about his daughter and some kind of trouble that she was in at the time.
Yeah, that's very strange. David, did you feel like something overtook you, or with passing out? I mean, did you feel like something overtook you?
No. I'm telling you, I was not prepared for this stuff to work. I didn't. I'd never been around a spirit box. The guys will tell you when they were using it, it really didn't work that well, and I didn't want to touch it. And I've never touched one before, and I mean, just having the spirit box on made me nauseous. So I don't know why, but then I just said okay, and I held my hand out and I put it in my hand. And when it touched my hand, these guys will tell you it was like somebody turned on an amplifier. This thing went into full stereo mode. And I'm like, I don't understand it. But then, so we start asking questions, and it really only happens on one particular area of the property that this reception is so strong. And I didn't understand it. As I walked down into this area, now, something drew me into the area. What I don't know. I could, through the spirit box and ever how you want to say it, and all the noise and the answers it was giving us. And you can hear the tone of my voice has changed. I mean, I'm very serious about this. You just got to a point that you knew if you went any further, it was not going to be pleasant. And while I wanted to physically, spiritually, my mind says, you're not, David, and then Tate is telling me, do not go, do not go, do not go, do not go. And then I'm this thing is starting to say, it says my daughter. And that really it basically pissed me off. I'm like, you're not going to talk about my daughter. And then I said, I want to know her name. Say her name. And when it said her name, I was flabbergasted. I could not believe it. And I said, what did you say? And as clear as day, it comes over the box, Kaylin. My daughter has a unique name. There's not a lot of Kaylins out there. She's very special. And it overtook me. And I knew, I thought, I'm going to hit the ground. I could feel my body draining. I just, when I tried to look at Tate, and I just like, I'm done, I'm gone. And I just fell back, and it was all too real. Now, I will not tell anyone the circumstances about what's happening in my daughter's life, but I will ask for anyone that listens to this podcast to please pray for everyone involved, especially my daughter, because I don't care who says what they believe. I don't believe that this point there was malicious intent, but they knew something that I didn't. And when it was made bitterly clear to me, I did not know she was in trouble. But clearly she had issues that no one knew about, and we're all working together now. So this paranormal stuff is a lot more than I anticipated, and we've done a few hunts in some other areas. We're not prepared for the results, and they have been outstanding. I just want to make sure everybody knows I'm not smart enough to fake it. Okay. So what you see is what you get. I don't have the mind power to tell you a lie because I can't remember what I told you, and it'll come out. So I just soon tell you the truth and move on. And this paranormal stuff is not for the faint of heart. And I recommend that anybody that wants to go out there and play at it, you better study, you better know what you're doing, and not invite something to come home with you.
Yeah, that's good advice. It's really good advice. And I appreciate you sharing that, David. And I don't expect you to go into the issue with your daughter, but it is fascinating that came up in that way. Can I ask, and anyone can answer it, has anyone seen an apparition of an entity like a ghost, or have you guys actually seen the lights out at that property?
Oh, go ahead. No, you don't.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So sometimes when you know something, it's better to keep it to yourself so that you don't pre-program somebody's thought process. Because if you go into a situation that may be a little scary and you can expect this, and this to happen, A, B, and C. Well, you're pre-programming that mindset. So I never told Taylor, Tate, anyone, and Taylor and I learned very early on, we never told anybody about things that we experienced because, first off, if they experienced it, lended a lot more credibility because we didn't put that thought in their mind. There is a very strange occurrence on this property with seeing, if you want to say it's an apparition, if you want to call it lights, I do not know how to explain it. But without fail, there's always going to be activity that follows in one form or another.
Yeah, explain that for me. I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about, so you'll kind of have to define that for me.
Well, you'll see something that you can't explain, and it's a very distinct thing, and I don't want to give it away too much.
I'll say it.
Let me see if Taylor can explain it.
Okay. David don't like saying this because it makes us look crazy, but heck, we have nothing to gain from lying about this. It's real. I'll go ahead and tell you. So my wife comes with us. We just start dating. She comes with us. She's like, "Why do y'all go out here and do this?" I'm like, "Because it's real." She's like, "Well, let me come one day." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Come on. It's real. You're going to get scared." We go out there. Like David says, we tell her nothing. She knows we're going out there to hunt for Bigfoot, but she don't know the signs to look for. And David and I have encountered this. Tate, everyone that we've brought on a trip with us has normally encountered this. But anomaly that happens, whatever it is. So she's out there. She looks at me. It's on camera. She looks at me and she said, "What was that green flash that just happened?" She said it looked like a light bulb being turned on, flicking, blowing. Like, you know how that you just see the flash? And I was like, "What did you just say?" And I'm getting cold chills right now. She's like, "What was the green light that just flashed in the woods?" This was cold. There's no lightning bugs at the time. I was like, "David, did you hear?" David's sitting there in shock. He's like, "Yeah, I just heard her." I was like, "Hang on, Paige, and you'll find out." And moments later, activity starts happening. You start hearing moving beside of us. And then in the same video, if you go later on in the video, she gets actually a little stick thrown at her and hit her in the leg in the same night. So she witnessed what we witnessed. Do Bigfoots come from another dimension? I have no clue. I don't know if I believe that or not. I mean, it's hard to go out there but whenever we get activity, not every time, but most of the time, there's a green or some kind of light that flashes, and then the stuff happens. I don't know, and we have never put this on camera besides that one time with her because we don't want to look crazy. And I guess people that now, if you come with us, just keep an eye out for the light, I guess. But there, and I hate to say that because it does make us look crazy some, but I mean, we already look crazy. We're out there hunting for Bigfoot and ghosts. So what's me saying that there's a green light that flashes in the woods? It makes us any more crazy. But that David hates saying it because it makes us look even more crazier. But yeah, there's a green light that flashes.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy at all, guys. I mean, it gets reported all the time, especially people who have these things on their property. I'll say 95% of the time, they'll tell you what's going on. And then they'll say, oh, and by the way, I'm also seeing these weird lights on my property. It's a lot more common than you might think. Are you guys seeing, is it like a flash of light or is it like a ball of light?
It's like so you flick your light bulb on sometimes and it blows and you see that type of green, and then sometimes there's like a sparkle that we see in the woods. Right. And we haven't seen that in a couple years, but there was a sparkle. And if one of the guys want to go into more detail about that, I'll let them do that. But there's two different types of lights. There's there's sparkle that kind of happens. I mean, it ain't like a vampire sparkle from Twilight. It's just sort of like you see this white flicker just flickering over there, and then the green light is crazy. And then we've seen sort of like an amber eye shine, but you can't never until I see a body with the eye shine. I'm not going to say it's Bigfoot. I guess I'm more of like the stricter one on here, and Tate also, and Tate's foaming at the mouth to tell you this. The night that David, and it's on video, we'll send you the clip to the video where you can show it. I'll let Tate tell you because he's foaming out the mouth. Something really crazy happened right before the Kalen thing on camera.
So it's kind of back to the light episode. We were walking through the woods on the other side before we get to that point with David in the spirit box, and we find this like little rock pile area that looked like kind of like grave markers, but they were just probably rocks that just washed up. And we found like this big, was it a tree X? I can't remember what it was.
But the tree X was near the grave.
It was near the markers. Yeah.
Gravesite.
So we seen those little rock markers, and then we seen this big engineered tree X behind it. For some reason, I felt perplexed I was compelled to have a picture taken. I said, guys, let's take a picture. So luckily we had David's girlfriend at the time, now fiance, take the picture. And so I look at the picture real quick, see if it's good, worthy of post on social media. And I start looking in the background, and I think it was between David and me, right above us, off in the woods where it's like the ridge hillside and the mountaintop. You see two big glowing green balls of light, and it just looked like, I would say, eye shine. It looks like eyeballs, big, and it's all on camera. And so we look at that and we start flipping out because we just caught that on our phone camera. And then not seconds after we acknowledge that, out from around the mountainside and the trees, you see this. I mean, this thing's flying super, super low, almost hovering like. It's just a big triangle of lights, and there's no markers on it, so we don't think it was a plane. And it's just hovering and flying slowly over top of the tree line. I mean, it probably was skimming the top of the leaves on the top trees as it's going through. And we're just sitting there looking at this. And David, pardon my French, but he's on camera doing, what the hell is that? Over and over. What is that? We think we had our first UFO sighting that night, along with the balls of light.
Yeah, that's fascinating and terrifying all in the same. I just posted on the blog, he's a former CIA agent. I'll see if I can't dig it up, the clip I'm talking about, but he looked into UFOs and he was talking about the government's role in looking into UFOs. And he brought up, he started talking about the balls of light, which I found fascinating. I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but yeah, the lights do get reported a lot. Very common.
I'm glad you brought that to our attention because we had no idea that was a common occurrence. We haven't really paid attention enough to look at other people's encounters and experiences on that. That is interesting to know now.
When you were talking about the light being common, we did an episode with the group Finding Bigfoot, I got to meet all those guys, and that's I love Bobo. So I was watching one of their episodes before our premiere came out, and on one of their episodes, the guy was on there, and all I can remember his name is RPG, and they were at this area where I don't know. I just remember being like in a little trailer setting, like in a little souvenir shop or something, and they had a series of questions pre-written down in sealed envelopes. And I know it's television; anything could be staged or hoaxed. But one of the things that floored me was the questions were sealed and sent in by viewers. And they were asking a psychic, whom I believe, if I remember correctly, was maybe a Native American. Don't hold me to that. But one of the questions were, what are the green lights? And without hesitation, the medium said, it's where they come from. And it floored me. And because it was part of a television show, I didn't know how to take it. But then when you said that's a common occurrence, it almost makes me feel good because I don't feel crazy, because we do. Because are you seeing things? I mean, we've all experienced it, but you don't have anything to prop it up, other because we've never caught it on camera. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, whenever weird things happen out there, I would definitely report it, guys, because it happens so much. I would say in your average encounter, hunter comes across one of these things or a hiker, they're not going to talk about the lights, generally speaking. Where you run into the lights is on people's property. And, probably 5, 6 years ago, I just got so many of them that I had to talk about it. And I think more people have seen the lights than they have actually seen Sasquatch. Taylor, let me ask you. So the group really isn't trying to prove this to the world. You guys are trying to prove this, I guess, to yourselves. Is that kind of the goal?
Well, okay, so we do this for people that aren't able to get out there and do it themselves. Because we have taken notice, like, people really enjoy this because they're not as fortunate as we are. There's some people that can't get out there and do it because, like, the people in wheelchairs and stuff. So we are doing it for people, but yes, we're doing this because we want to see it for ourselves. And I mean, that's it. Yeah, so it's 50-50. We'll still do it after this, but we probably won't do it weekly because we know it's out there. But so yeah, it's about 50-50.
I hear you. I respect that. Taylor, I noticed in most of your videos, you guys are out there at night. Do you guys ever go during the day?
We do some day activity, but it's almost like you see tree stumps in the background, and people that watch our videos is like, "Hey, you just filmed Bigfoot in the background there," and when we'll go back and check it, and it's a tree stump. So you're seeing more stuff during the day in the background that can play tricks on you, rather than the nighttime. If it's there, it's going to be glowing. So, like, the tree stumps during the day, they do look like they're blob squatches during the day, but we prefer the nighttime better. We get just more activity.
Yeah, I could understand that. And my opinion is I think there's something more going on with these creatures. There's something that doesn't quite feel right. There's more to the story than just a North American primate out there running around, but that's my opinion, and it doesn't have to be anyone else's opinion. I want to ask you guys, and anyone can really answer this. Do you guys ever feel like, as Tate, I think it was Tate that was talking about, they throw rocks in the river over here, so we run over there, and then they throw rocks over into the river over here, so then we all run over there. Do you guys ever feel like you're chasing a ghost?
Yes. Like, I mean, yeah, we do feel like we're chasing a ghost, but we've got a theory on what it could be. I think we're telling something. David thinks we're telling something. Tate thinks we're telling something. We're on a thing's tail, and then another one's distracting us, getting us to run the other way. And we try to stay on our trail, but it's hard to whenever you hear another crash coming down the woods. It's like you go into your mind. You're like, we're going to wherever the sound is, and we'll run off. But yeah, 100%. I feel like we're chasing a ghost sometimes.
Yeah, I know when I used to go out and we'd have activity, it really felt like I was chasing a ghost because you'll have rocks thrown at you, but then you don't see what's throwing the rocks or just a lot of weird things that happened. Let me start with you, Tate. What do you think Sasquatch is? Kind of what's your opinion? And, there's no wrong answer, of course.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of our field. There's really no legitimate expert because we've never had a biopsy on one on a table, so we don't know exactly what Bigfoot actually is. We think it's a ape-like creature or a humanoid, but we don't know. David has an interesting theory. I don't know if he'll like to share it on camera or on podcast. It's a pretty drawn out. When he told me the first time, I was very compelled. I was like, wow, that's that. I was like, whoa, that's deep and interesting, and it all makes sense. I believe it can be a type of humanoid, but I think it has some type of powers. I mean, for it to be remain hidden this long from people and the way it comes and goes, there's something more to it than it just being very agile or camouflaged in the woods. But David, do you want to share it?
Yeah, David, give us your take on what Sasquatch is.
Okay. Wes, are you a believer as far as Christ goes?
Yeah, I believe in God. I think there's a creator.
Thank you. Okay, cool. We have a platform. All right. You ever done something you wish you hadn't have done?
Yeah, of course. I think it's being human.
Okay, we all have. All right. So we have a platform. We have a place to begin with. Okay. So you said that you don't really know whether we believe if there's interdimensional beings and things of that nature. And I didn't either for the longest time. So if I can't find something factual to base my theories on, I don't ever speak them. So people don't realize the war in heaven happened before man was created. Okay. All right. The earth was created by God in the book of Genesis, and the earth was created to house hell. Earth is the gateway, if you will, to hell. And hell is a dimension within this earth. The Bible speaks of there is only one God, big G, our creator. It says Lucifer is a God, little g. He is the God of two worlds, which means he is the God of hell and of earth, little g. That just means he has the power to create havoc. He created havoc in heaven. He's still doing it today. But it clearly says he can walk between two worlds. If that's possible, hell has to be a dimension. So a third of the angels war against God in heaven and were cast into hell into the lake of fire. All right. Of a third of them angels that are in hell, we all know that the demons, which we call demons, is nothing more than a fallen angel. And there are multiple types of angels. Okay, there were warring angels, avenging angels, saving angels, angels of mercy. There's all kinds of types of angels. Lucifer was the most beautiful of them all. But having said that, a third of those angels were cast into hell. Do you not think of a third of those angels? Some of them have been pretty pissed that they were deceived and they were cast out of glory and out of heaven itself. What if some of them just walked out of hell and never went back? And we all know that angels came down from heaven and mated with men, and there was a race of giants. The Bible clearly speaks of it. That's why God said, hey, I'm going to cleanse this world. I don't like what you're doing. So we know angels can mate. All right. They've got junk. So what if Sasquatch is nothing more than a fallen angel that says, hey, I'm sorry, but I'll live what life I've got on this world until the rapture before I have to go back to hell. And they can produce offspring. It's a theory.
Yeah, that's a fascinating theory. Let me ask you, David. So let's go with your theory. Let's say you're right, and that's what these creatures are. Does it concern you at all? Week after week, you guys are out there chasing this.
I think they've already created all the havoc that they want to. I think that this is just entertainment for them on our part. On this property, there are a few family homes that they're very close. I mean, they run their business at the very top of this property, and so this is a close family. And on one point of the property, there's a living room that's wide open with a giant big screen TV. And what do you think we cast 100 foot from their house watching TV? Baby Bigfoot prints. I think they stand there and they watch us. I think we're just entertainment. I don't think that they want to create any harm for us anymore. Now, does that mean that every one of them's nonviolent? Absolutely not. I don't, I hear people give horror stories about Sasquatch, and I'm going, man, you must have really pissed them off. We haven't done anything like that yet. I mean, we're very respectful in every aspect that we do. And yeah, we tell them, hey, when we get there, and tell them bye when we leave. I mean, I don't know how much more Southern you can get. So,
Yeah, I hear you, man. What are your thoughts, Taylor? What do you think Sasquatch is?
Until I met David and until I heard his theory on it, I thought that, and I still kind of do, because I mean, David's is just a theory, and this is my theory. I think that there's more than one. I think there's a tribe of them. I think there's thousands of them in the United States, all over the world. I think that they're an ape-like man-type creature. I would say they're animal until I heard David's his theory on it, and his theory makes sense to me. So I'm stuck in the middle of, are they interdimensional or are they animal ape? So I think I think blood runs through their body and their flesh.
Yeah, they obviously have to be physical to leave tracks, you would think. Anyway, I mean, what do I know? You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to know exactly what these things are. And David, I appreciate you sharing that, man. Very few people go into that sort of thing, and that was cool that you did. And Tate, I really appreciate your take on it, and as well with you, Taylor. I mean, I respect your guys' opinion, and I really do enjoy watching your videos. For the audience out there, go check these guys out. They're called Squatch Watchers, and I'll include some videos underneath this episode at SasquatchChronicles.com. That some of what we're talking about tonight, I'll include some of the videos so you guys can go watch it. And I'm rooting for you guys. I want you guys to be successful, and I hope that you guys really do get something very compelling. You do have compelling evidence now, but you know what I mean, like something that just kind of blows everything out of the water. And like I said, I'm rooting for you guys, and I wish you guys success, and be careful out there. I really appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you. Thank you. You'll have to come with us sometime.
Yeah, if I'm ever in that part of the country, I definitely will. Thanks again, guys. And that's it for tonight, everyone. Remember, if you've had an encounter, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. And if you get a chance, check out sasquatchchronicles.com. You can become a member and get additional shows. Until next time, everyone.
Intoxicating danger I like. Save me from myself, let me drown in my black lake. Let me float away. Save me from myself, let me drown in my black lake. Beauty is a black lake. Let me sail away. Beauty is a black lake. Let me sail away. Darkness approaching, deep water keeps flowing. It inhales me in the stormy tide. Endless emotion, a dawn thought, a notion. epiphany, bring the shore to life. Save me from myself.